All right. Welcome back. We're at another episode of the Nam Studios podcast. And today we have Stacy Simbrom with us. And Stacy, you are considered, or you call yourself a holistic, not considered,
Thank
call
you.
yourself a holistic integration coach. Is that right?
Yep.
Well, first, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
And tell me about you and holistic integration and how you coach me through that.
Okay. It's a facet of life coaching,
hmm
but life coaching sounds really woo-woo and just like, yeah, it never appealed to me.
Okay.
So what I've come to believe is that we have three centers of intelligence.
hmm
So you've got your mind, you've got your emotions, and you've got your body.
Okay.
You've got one that you default to all the time. It's your preferred place to function.
Mhm.
You've got one that's an absolute blind spot.
Okay.
And you function like unconsciously with this. So the best way to function at the highest level possible is to be able to kind of weave these three places in together somewhat equally. And if you're not doing that, at least to be able to have the awareness to call in the one that could balance you at the moment.
Okay. I see that. As soon as you said that, I was thinking like out of the three, I already know which one I don't use as much as the other two.
Which one?
Emotions. Because I'm working on that right now.
Okay. Yeah. So it's okay. So you don't usually. So you've got your emotions here,
Well,
or your emotions are your blind spot.
yeah, my emotions are my blind spot.
Okay. What's your default?
I would say because of work, my mind,
Okay.
you, constantly using my mind every single day to figure out, to delegate, to problem solve. So I would say my mind.
Okay. How do you use your body to leverage the two?
Um, Recently I've been using my body to make sure I'm like fit and healthy, which
Okay.
helps me like think about stuff and like calm my mind and like work through my emotions.
Do you ever just spend like 10 seconds being present in the moment?
Yeah, I've been doing that recently. Like not like I wouldn't say like I've been doing this for years. I would say probably in the past 2 weeks.
What do you notice?
I don't know. I notice like things like birds chirping
Okay.
and
And
you
then
me-
do
you
you
mean
notice what door that opens for you? When you hear birds chirping, what happens with that emotion? Where's that emotion?
I don't know.
Does it bring you happiness? Does it bring
Yes.
you annoyance?
Happiness.
Okay.
Okay.
There's your access to your emotion.
Okay.
So that's how to leverage your body to get to your emotion.
Okay. And this is how you help people.
A lot of it is building awareness. A lot of it is giving people practical tools and exercises
Hmm?
so that they can walk out and have something tangible that they can do, that they can start shifting their relationship with
Okay.
whatever is going on. I also believe in something called the Enneagram.
Okay, what's
And
the Enneagram?
Enneagram blew my mind.
Okay.
Enneagram is it's a fusion of psychology
hmm
and holistic and spirituality.
How do you spell that?
Enneagram,
hmm
Enneagram.
Ding. You got it right. No, I don't know. I'm just-
Thank you, because I'm one that spelling is like humming. But it believes in it. It says that everything functions in threes.
mhm.
You've got 9 personality types.
9.
It's not as complicated as you think it is.
Okay.
There are 3 that are centered in the body, there are 3 that are centered in the heart, and there are 3 that are centered in the mind.
Okay.
Each one of those personalities is going to bring you to different default places in you.
Okay.
Now, once you have the clarity of what happens when you go into default, what happens when you go into the unconscious, then you could see, well, what other personality places can I tap into?
It's like a video game. It's like picking like a,
Yes.
when you play a video game, it's like, do you want to be the barbarian? Do you want to be the healer?
Pretty much. So it really gives you a blueprint. It's so practical. It gives you a blueprint of, okay, if I'm not fond of this default, I'm a type 4,
Okay.
highly emotional, need to be unique.
Okay.
So never really fit in with any place because I need to be special. So what I need to do is, if that's my default and that's keeping me out of really great connections and being a part of things, I need to look at the other personality types and say, what
What
can I
can I?
tap into that you kind of have that I don't have?
So if I Google any
Enneagram.
Enneagram,
Uh-huh.
is there one of those like online tests that let
Yes,
me like
there
figure out
is.
my 9 personality types?
What it'll do is it'll give you the top 3.
Okay.
And then you get to decide in the top 3, because no one can decide like you.
Yeah.
You get to decide which one resonates with you more.
Okay.
And then we start working with that structure. And again, that gives you black and white stuff
Okay.
that makes sense.
Okay. Okay. I could go into this forever, but let's rewind back a little bit
Okay.
because we just got pretty deep.
Right.
But I want to know, as a holistic
Integration.
coach,
Right.
who are your typical clients? Like, what is the difference between you and, say, going to a psychotherapist or a therapist in general?
Okay. So, what I have come to find, I love therapy.
Mhm.
I'm a therapy junkie.
Okay.
Like, if I could spend 40 hours a week just in therapy, I would be so happy.
You like the Dalai Lama?
I
Just
love, it's incredible to me. But the biggest difference is therapists look at the future and the past
Mhm.
to try to make sense of the present.
Mhm.
I focus on the present. And that's not to say that we're not going to look in and tap into things and experience and trauma and
Mhm.
all of that. But what I come to believe is that everything that you do has a purpose.
Mhm.
It's filling a need. If we can, even the bad stuff,
Okay.
if we can identify the need, then we can identify different choices. And then you have the power to make the choices.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with anybody.
Okay.
I think people are brilliant. And it's not the need that's ever wrong. What you need, you need.
So how do I know when I'm like, "Ugh, there's something wrong with me. I need help. I need to talk to someone." Do I choose therapist A, or how do I choose Stacy?
I think it's the approach. Do you want to really dive into the background and find out why you do all the things and like really excavate deeply? Because
Mhm.
that's really what I find through my personal experience with therapists. Like, that's the focus.
Mhm.
Or do you want to do a blended work of, the present is always going to bring us to the past because our brains are wired to
Mhm.
look for patterns.
Mhm.
So it's always going to bring you there, but you don't necessarily have to always do the deep
Mhm.
dive to have changes in your relationships with things in the present.
Yeah.
A certain amount of awareness is great, but you don't always have to find out that your deepest trauma is
Yeah.
when your mother made you eat liver and onions
Yeah.
when you were 4 years old, even when you were gagging at the table. She said, "No, you've got to finish what's on your plate." I mean, you don't have to necessarily.
Yeah, and to me, it's kind of just like if a person is overweight and they're looking to lose weight and they've been overweight all their lives. For me personally, I necessarily don't care if I've been overweight for the past 15 years. I want to lose it now. Like,
Right,
help me lose it now. And then somewhere in that, I kind of see what you're saying. Like, we'll go back and realize, okay, you had a bad relationship with food or something happened in the
right.
past, but like, let's just fix it now.
What
That's
did
not,
you make it mean about yourself? What did you make that
yeah,
experience? What story did you tell yourself around that?
okay.
Was it food brings me comfort? It's a protection and a safety. Food
Mm-hmm.
is my friend. Or is it I will go down in the middle of the night and eat everything in the kitchen to take off my mother in the morning when she comes down. Like, we have all different reasons why we do things. And again, once we can identify the need
Yeah.
and then add leveraging the need, the emotion, the thoughts, and the body, now you've got a foundation for some really cool
Okay.
re-relationshiping, for lack of a better phrase. And you can tap into that. You can use that word whenever you want.
The relationship.
Re-relationship.
Re-relationship.
Yeah, take that.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
I
Thank
feel
you.
like that's a good one for like someone breaking up with someone and being like, I think I need a little re-relationship.
Yeah, I like it. It's better than thoughtful uncoupling or whatever that was a couple of years ago. Yeah.
But that kind of leads into something that you had mentioned before. You had said there is nothing about us that is wrong or needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
That's a powerful statement
Yeah.
in like a world obsessed with like self-improvement, especially with like
Yeah.
me, because it's like right now I feel like I need to fix my emotions and my being because I felt like over the past couple of years I haven't really been myself,
Right.
right? Or someone who's like I need to look better to feel better in my skin. So like, but you saying there's nothing wrong with us that needs to be fixed. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, when did you come up with that? How did you come up with that? What do
I
you mean by
came up
that?
with that with a lifetime of feeling like I needed to be fixed. You go to a therapist, and the first thing that people ask you is what's wrong with you? You go to a coach, and people ask, what are you working on?
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel different in your body? How does that energy feel different in your body?
Mm-hmm.
Where would you rather engage? You know, when I need to be fixed, I kind of feel heavy and like there's a little bit that brings a lump to my throat, and,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, ugh. When there's something that I'm working on, there's curiosity there. There's a little bit of magic there.
Mm-hmm. Seeing how much better I could get, not in the sense that I need to be fixed, but in the sense of doing something I'm good at and then
Yep.
making it better.
Yep. When I was working, I worked in the field of addiction for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And people who have that lifestyle are incredibly creative. Think of what it takes to keep that lifestyle up. Think of all the creativity that you have to use.
Mm-hmm.
How you use the creativity is sometimes stellar or not stellar.
Mm-hmm.
The choices that you make to enact the creativity, that's where it gets wonky.
Yeah.
But the creativity itself is brilliant. How do you use that when you decide to move away from that relationship with your life and engage with this relationship with your life?
Talking about creativity, I don't know, you probably have read it, but this is the second time I'm doing it. I'm reading The Artist's Way.
Oh my God, game changer, isn't it? It's so good.
I love it.
It's so good.
So I read it and I worked through it in, I would say 2022, 2023. But I just picked it up again. I'm on week 2.
Okay.
I didn't do my morning pages this morning,
Okay.
but I'll be doing it tomorrow. And I feel like the second time picking it up, I'm just realizing a lot of things that didn't click the first time. And
Yeah.
like, would you say that book, if anybody doesn't know, The Artist's Way is a book that helps
Beautiful.
you tap into your creativity
Yep.
and bring you closer to a higher power, which is like God, whatever it is, God, the universe, whatever you,
Pencil eraser,
and
whatever
you
works
know,
for
it's
you.
kind of like, in a sense, the law of attraction.
Yep.
Yeah. And so every morning you have to write in your journal 3 pages or 30 minutes. And then every week you have to take yourself out on an artist date. Right. How do you like that book? Since you were talking about creativity.
I love that book. The only problem I have with that book is I'm a decent journaler, but I'm not necessarily always a decent writer.
Okay.
So what I did was I need to engage with this book. Sometimes my journal entry is doodling. Sometimes my journal entry is found poetry. I find that if I don't pigeonhole myself as to it needs to be in this format, I'm more likely to engage with it.
That's how I feel as well. Because I think when I first did it a couple of years ago, I found myself like begging and hoping and wishing for a lot, which is why I
Yeah.
stopped, right?
Right.
And then I picked up the book again and I stopped journaling for a while. I picked up the book again, and within the first chapter, or like the epilogue, it
Hmm.
said literally clear words: you might find yourself begging or yearning for something a lot. Do not let it discourage you. And I'm like, why
Yep.
didn't I not see that the first time?
I have a close friend. His name is Gerald Dugan, and he's a Buddhist.
Hmm.
And there's a Buddhist principle of life does not happen to me, it happens for me.
Yeah.
So anytime I get stuck in something like that, I immediately ask the question, why is this happening for me at this moment?
That's a good question,
Like,
because I find myself always writing about like problems, desires, all that stuff, and reading The Artist's Way. Like you said, you could doodle, you could
right,
poem, and in the book it says like after a while you're just going to get into your creative flow.
right.
And I'm just like, man, what is gonna be my creative flow? What am I gonna doodle or write a poem or do anything but write about my day or how I feel?
Now, what happens if you're in your creative flow all the time? You're just not recognizing it. What happens if it's always right here? And it's like the sky blue, but you're just wearing blue glasses. So, like, what happens if you just take off the glasses and recognize all of the creativity that you do all the time?
I feel like that goes back to that analogy or that story about the people in the cave.
Yeah.
About like you're in the cave and everybody's shackled, and one guy gets out and realizes there's a door, and he comes back and tells everybody like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is outside," but they call him crazy because no one can fathom it. I feel like what you're asking me is like that right now. Like, I don't know what I have. Is it glasses? Is it a shirt? Is it like a helmet? Like, I don't know what I have to take off right now.
What happens if you can kind of leave everything on for the current moment
Hmm.
and just check in with it and use your intuition? Your intuition is going to tell you what you need to take on and what you need to take off. It
Mm.
always will. And your emotions will. So if you're thinking about that helmet and it's feeling restrictive and you're looking that you want to expand, take off the helmet for a little while. Put it next to you. You could always lift it back up again.
I don't think the
You
world
could
is
always
ready for
put
that.
it back on again. But like it's like again, it's that curiosity. If you just put it next to you,
Hmm.
you always have the choice to pick it back up again.
So let's talk about like, I know that you can't talk necessarily about your clients,
Right.
but what was like the most profound transformation that you've helped someone through, since we're like in that realm? Because personally, like you said, if I take off the helmet, I feel like the world isn't ready for it. I feel like my life around me would crash and burn. But like, has anybody worked through that? Have you seen a profound transformation with someone else?
I've seen incredible transformations with people. Um, I'm going to really sound narcissistic right now. I think the most incredible, and sometimes it brings me like woo woo tears. I think the most incredible transformation is the impact that everybody I work with has on me.
Hmm. Because you're dealing
Like,
with so many different people.
and they're all amazing, and they all just open doors and windows for me in this space that we create together. So I'm just really, it's amazing. There's something called the law of three. If this is 100% and this is 100%, what's the reconciling effect? So if you're bringing 100% and it's completely counter to what I'm bringing, if we can both hold our 100%, something gets created in that space. You,
Mm.
I don't have to choose. The minute I choose one or the other, I'm denying that creation of happening.
I feel like that's not only good for internally yourself, I feel like that's an analogy for a relationship as well. External
Absolutely.
relationship.
Absolutely positively. Absolutely positively. I mean,
So,
you know my son.
yeah,
You know,
yes.
like that. I walk around the house. He's a 26-year-old musician.
Yeah.
Law of three, law of three. He can be 100%. I can be 100%. What's the reconciling fact? I mean, it's like it's become my mantra
Yeah.
around absolutely positively.
Okay.
Yeah, and it really helps with the work that you do internally in coaching because it honors the fact that yeah, I can be a golden child here and I can be a real troll here. Both of those are 100%. Both of those are really parts of me. What's the reconciling fact? How do I build a relationship including both of those parts 100%?
I think that's a good question for people. Because I don't even know that, and I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to be either one or the other.
Yeah. And I mean, creation, think about just having children. You've got to have the 100% of both
Hmm.
to have that creation.
Hmm.
You've got to have light and dark to have creation.
Two things can be true at the same time.
Two things are always true at the same time. Always, 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 always.
Okay, so like in BNI,
Yes.
one of some of my favorite things that you do during BNI is when it's your time to speak, you have us do an exercise.
Yes.
So what's one exercise that you could tell all the hundreds of thousands of followers who are watching us, not hundreds of thousands, so I'm not there yet. Thousands
You
of
will be. You will be.
Yes, thank you. Thousands of followers that they could do right now to, center themselves, to, you know, you know, implement or start doing today if they're curious about other facets or parts of their life.
I would love for somebody to just take a moment of presence in their life. And what that looks like is moments of presence is just coming into the here and now. So, palm, fingertips. Start here
Hmm.
and just bring your fingertips up and down. Look, you noticing all the sensations?
Hmm. And that just helps you bring yourself to the present.
Yep. And notice how they change. Like spend some focus that everything that feels in the fingertips, then go down and notice where your fingers, the ridges are. And when you get to, like, I call it the paw pad. I'm a
Yeah.
dog lover. When you get to your paw pad and then notice where the intensity is. Notice where it's almost so passionate that it starts to hurt.
Yeah. Okay.
That's, you're in your body now. You
Okay.
didn't vote when we were doing that. Did you think about anything else?
No, I was trying to pay attention to you, but the sensations were
Yeah.
like very, very strong.
Yep. And now you're in the present. And then if you really want to do the check-in,
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, what am I feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I energized? Do I feel sad? Do I feel happy?
Mm. Okay. And what is that something you would tell someone who's struggling to find their identity? Like just being in the present? Is it all just about being in the present?
I think in some way we're all struggling to find our identity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think we create these alter identities
Mm-hmm.
and then we get really, we kind of buy into them and we
Yeah.
really want to make them true. I think it's loosening the grip and realize you're born with an identity and it's fluid
Mm-hmm.
and it changes in relationships and it changes so many times during the course of the day. Just be open to the change.
Okay. But not like, I want to go into what got you into this. What was what was your story? What was your calling, your passion that is the Stacy who's sitting in front of me in the present?
In the
Right, I see
present.
what I did there.
Okay, so I had a myriad of different business experiences,
Okay.
but the constant was, again, I love therapy.
Mhm.
Absolutely love therapy. Had spent years and years in therapy and saw amazing people, but always felt like there was a hole somewhere. Like it wasn't quite scratching the itch that I
Mhm.
needed it to scratch. So I started expanding and researching and things and changing my relationship. At one point in my life, I identified myself as somebody who was really broken. I suffered from profound depression. I suffered from profound mania. Like I suffered. Um, it was big suffering. Um, and I wanted to have a different relationship with it.
Mhm.
And I slowly started to walk away from those diagnoses and those things and say, okay, if this is a component in my life, again, what is it telling me? What is it showing me? Why is it showing up? What's my relationship to it? And I started gravitating a lot more towards somatic work and integrative work.
Okay.
And I was like, there it is. That's the piece. I was
Okay.
processing things here, and that's where the story was getting stuck.
Okay. And how did all that processing, all that somatic work kind of um, show itself in your relationships as like, you know, a wife, a mother, a friend? Like, did you see it change throughout your life?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It changed everything. I mean, I was so stuck in drama and patterns and um highs and lows, and yeah, I was all over the place, and it was allowed because for a lot of years I was a professional artist. So
So, as an artist, you could be as
I could be as
crazy
temperamental as
and
I want.
unhinged as you want to
Oh
be, because
yeah,
I'm an
I
artist.
absolutely. I mean, I could be flamboyant and live in excess and oh, absolutely. But I wasn't happy
Hmm.
and I wasn't content and I wasn't at peace. I was always managing all of those plates on top of the sticks.
Hmm.
It was exhausting. Like it was really, really exhausting.
Hmm.
So, this stuff has helped me to live in the middle area.
Yes.
Not to say that there aren't highs and lows, but I'm in the comfort zone more
Yeah.
times than
Yeah.
not. And when I have the highs and lows, I can get to the comfort zone faster.
Okay. Okay. And that's what you teach people as well.
I don't teach people anything. We sit down and it's kind of like we share our toys together.
Okay.
It becomes show and tell
Mhm.
because everybody has knowledge.
So, what knowledge have you gained from people that has helped you um, elevate your coaching process in a sense? Like, have you ever thought of a coaching process that was so out of the norm that actually worked?
Oh, I do bizarre things. Like if people are frustrated, I'll have them go in my backyard and throw terracotta flower pots.
Really?
Oh yeah, we'll hang out and plant bulbs. Oh yeah,
Like a
we
personal, like, what do you call those rooms where you just smash stuff?
Yeah, well, I have people like in the middle working together. If we check in with the body and it's like they need to move, I'm like, okay, how are we moving? What are we doing? Like, do you want to walk? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I just, the,
You just do.
yeah,
Live in the moment.
that's it. That's it. We draw, we paint,
Yeah.
we talk. I have singing bowls and gongs. Like there's
Yes.
all sorts of really cool stuff.
Yes. So, talking about your singing bowls and gongs, you have a couple of options and things that you do for people other
Yep.
than coaching. I remember you just said that you started doing sound bowls.
Yep. I do frequency sessions.
Okay.
I do groups.
Hmm.
So I've done women's groups and things and different development groups like that. I've done corporate work.
Okay.
So for this one thing, I went into Pfizer Drugs in Manhattan
Hmm.
and I met with the legal department
Okay.
and they were doing team building and they were also launching a new initiative.
Mm-hmm.
We did vision boards for different parts of the projects.
Okay.
The women loved making pipe cleaner tiaras, and the men loved the sparkles. But it changed the relationships. It gave the initiative energy that it didn't have before. There were really cool conversations. People who had sat next to each other for a long time got to know different facets of each other, which then built the relationship of the legal department and how they could go to each other and resource each other differently. I work with Enneagram within work settings. If you're a challenger and you're a type 8, and challenger, I mean, you're all, it's
Yeah.
my way or no way, and you're meeting with someone, your boss is a heart center, and you guys are not going to be able to see on the same page. You both process information differently. So it's, okay, how can I help you to understand that there's a meeting point there?
Okay.
That you can start recognizing, oh, I'm going into this. I perceive they might be going into this. Where do we want to go?
Okay. Okay. And that's how you differentiate between the personal sessions and like the corporate work
Absolutely.
sessions.
Absolutely. I've also done EAC programs, or rather EAP programs.
What's EAP stand for?
EAP, Employee Assistance Programs,
Okay.
where people have been put on like 30-day, 60-day, 90-day action plans in order to bring up their performance, because it makes sense for an employer not to want to fire somebody. It
Yeah.
makes sense if there's conflict in the workplace or an issue on the workplace. They've invested a huge amount of time in that person. They want that person to succeed in
I
their
feel like
in
every
the company.
company should know about you because that is brilliant. I would do that in a heartbeat because like
Yeah.
why wouldn't you do that instead of firing a person? Why
Well,
do
a lot
most
of times
employers
it goes through the personnel department. Like a lot of companies do have it. But the nice thing about hiring somebody who's on the outside is that there's anonymity for the employee. They don't feel like everything that they're talking about
Yeah.
is going to go back to the employer.
Yeah.
And, if you're going to do this work, everybody deserves a place to be vulnerable. And
Yeah. It's technically, HR is there for the employer, not the employee, as much as
Right.
they say so.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So most times, yeah. So in my experience, yeah. So it gives an outside source that we can really find out what's going on with that employee. And then if it's happening at work, it's probably happening personally too, but to focus more on the work aspect and say, okay, what are some tools that we can put in place? What's some understanding? What's some perspective that we can put in place? What's actually getting in your way of pulling through and keeping up with this? What structure is too much, or what structure isn't enough that's holding you back from being successful in this particular situation?
Okay. Okay.
And again, it's working with the person in a non-threatening,
Yeah.
let's help you to succeed.
Yeah. And from being outside, it's definitely
Yeah.
way more non-threatening than it is internally.
And again, there's nothing wrong with that person. Whatever they're moving through, they're doing it for a reason. The employer isn't seeing the reason because it's impacting the person's productivity. But we don't do anything unless there's a good reason to do it. Once we identify the need and the reason, then we can look at, okay, are there different ways that we can be doing this here?
Okay. Okay. I feel like you deal with a lot of emotions every day. You deal with,
Personally or from other people or both?
like from other people.
Yes.
Like you're in a field where you're absorbing a lot of energy from your clients, from people. How do you regulate your own well-being and your own emotion? Because, at the end of a busy workday, you don't want to talk to people. You feel like you're heavy, whether it's your mind is heavy because you use your mind a lot, whether your emotion is heavy because you use your emotions a lot, or whether you're physically tired because you are working with your hands and you're a
Right.
laborer. So like for you, it's the emotional. So how do you regulate at the end of the day, knowing that you probably have to talk to Max yourself. And Max is a
Okay, plug. You guys also do a music podcast,
Yes.
and Max is a part of the
Yeah.
music podcast.
Max.
Yep.
Stacy's son is my audio engineer, and we created the Nom Studio sessions
Yes,
together.
so you know Max on a
Yes,
personal
so I know
level
Max
as
on
well.
a personal
Yes.
level, and Max is a very energetic
Oh,
guy.
yes, very energetic and has a lot of big opinions.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, I don't wait until the end of the day to center. I'm doing things like this all through the day and regrounding myself all through the day.
Okay.
I see an incredible coach who's in
Okay.
Madrid.
So
Thank
the
God
coach
for
has a
Zoom.
coach.
Oh, every therapist should have a therapist. Every coach should have a coach. Absolutely. So I see someone who helps me and gives me tools and feedback all the time. And I have an incredible teacher and a beloved. He is a Pierce Lakota sun dancer, and his name is Frank Runningwater.
Okay.
And the Lakotas believe in when you're doing work with somebody, when you're engaged in an opportunity of healing, the practitioner, the person that's there to support the space, goes into hollow bone, which means I support the space. Wisdom and everything moves through the space.
Okay.
It's not mine. I don't participate.
Okay.
If I want to be helpful and support the space, I need not to enter the space.
Ooh, that seems tough. I feel like I could use that in like work or relationship.
Come to me, we can work on this.
Like,
Okay.
like how do I learn how to support the space when I enter the space? Because I feel like that's where a lot of arguments come from.
Yep.
I feel that, let's say someone's upset at me
Yeah.
or not upset at me, just upset in general. And, they come into the room all huffing and puffing and take it out on you.
Right.
You can't help but enter that space that they're in because they're giving out that energy. But how do you support that space?
Ever been to a sporting event?
Yeah.
Did you ever do sports?
Yeah.
Okay. What did it feel like when you were on the field?
Ooh, electric.
What did it feel like when you were in the stands?
Electric as well.
Okay. But there's a difference in the experience.
Mm-hmm.
When you're participating, you're on the field.
Yeah.
When you're a compassionate witness, it's not that there isn't electricity. It's not that you're not being affected, but you're seeing the entirety of the situation rather than just your perspective of it on the field.
That's a good way to put it.
So it's recognizing I want to be in the bleachers. And when I do move on to the field, taking a breath and going, oh, okay, I went on the field. Let me get back on the bleachers right now. Let me make a notice of that because that's something I want to look at later because it touched something in me. So there's an opportunity. But for right now, I want to get back on the bleachers.
Okay. That's a good way. I'm gonna think about that from now on. I'm on the bleachers. I feel like that's a good question to ask. It's kind of like the question where you're just like, do you want solutions or do you want me to just listen?
Yeah.
Like, do you want me to be in the game right now or do you want me to be on the bleachers?
Right. And you can give solutions from the bleachers.
I'm thinking about heckling.
Of course, but that kind of is a solution. And so if they're doing crummy on the field, that heckling is a solution to say, hey, listen, get with the program. The cheers is a solution.
Yes,
It fires a solution.
That is very true. Okay, I could talk to you all day, but we're running out of time.
Thank you so much.
Before we go,
Yes.
thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Can you just list a couple of things or all the things that you provide? And I just want to make it clear, it's either in person or virtual you can
Right.
do. Okay.
In person or virtual. I'm on Long Island in Suffolk County, so whatever your preference is. I do one-to-one work. I do frequency work. which is gongs, singing bowls, things like that. I do public speaking. I do employee assistance programs, and I do presentations within companies. More companies are doing mindfulness and, having people be functional at work and dealing with stress and all. So I go in and run programs with that as well.
Okay. And what are your social medias, your email, your numbers so people could get in contact with you?
Okay. So social media Reflection Project, and that's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you can't find that, Stacy Simbrom, StacySimbrom.
Okay.
Website is reflection-project.com.
Okay.
And email is reflection.project.ccfw@gmail.com.
Awesome.
And phone number, I have no idea. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I don't know. But if you Google Reflection Project or you Google Stacy Simbrom, Reflection Project will come up, and all the contacts and stuff are on that as well. Oh, I'm also on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Stacy Simbrom at LinkedIn.
Okay. Awesome.
I think that's everything.
Everybody who's watching, she's the real deal. And thank you
my
for
love.
coming.
Thank you so much.